Ladies and gentlemen, the Star Road podcast is back for the episode before number 50, Tyler. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. It's interesting because we stopped listing episode numbers a while ago. So it's at a glance, it's hard to know exactly how many episodes we have, right, for the average viewer. But this is number 49. Next one will be 50. And we're going to have a little party on that one. Have a little change up of the format, maybe a little bit of try some new things, celebrate some things. But this one, 49, just the same old pure wholesome content people love, Sterling.
Absolutely. Not as meaty of a news segment as we had last time, but still big shit to talk about.
Yeah.
But some very, very feelsy things going on today as far as the discussion and the top five, really.
Absolutely.
The discussion is going to be gaming before the internet. This is all encompassing. That we talked about how this kind of throws back to so many discussions and top fives we've done, period, you know?
Yeah, it ties into like a lot of different topics that we've had and talked about previously, but it's going to bundle everything together nicely to just like childhood.
For us, that could almost be like an episode 50 thing. It's funny, but I kind of think it's even better as a segue into episode 50 type of thing.
I agree. Yeah,
so
I think it'll be a good one. Yeah.
Top five, we actually just decided that we were going to call it what it is. Unforgivable Backlog.
Yeah, things that we're ashamed that we have not gotten to yet. In my case, it's everything that I own and have access to. There's nothing on there that I haven't purchased yet. I don't know if that's the case for you as well. Oh,
everything I have in hand.
Same here.
And it's unforgivable, and I have no excuse.
Exactly.
It's not a things we kick our ass that we haven't played yet. For me, and I think for you, it's a completion thing. We haven't completed it.
Yeah, or at least played in a substantial way that you would want.
Absolutely. We'll get into the specifics. I'm really honed in on certain things on my list, but we'll get around to that.
Yeah, definitely.
But starting off, man, let's just get into the news. We got to do the Super Rush outfit first. Mario Golf Super Rush, August outfit. It's Shy Guys, Tyler.
Yep, 3 colors of Shy Guys. I couldn't remember. Have we gotten Shy Guys already one time before?
I believe we got 3 before.
I didn't actually write down what 3 colors these were.
It was pink, baby blue, and orange.
I actually like Shy Guy. I like Shy Guy, the character.
I've always liked Shy Guy. I feel like I really started to like Shy Guy in Mario Tennis on 64. I recall playing a lot of Shy Guy, like back in the day.
He plays like Boo in Super Rush. Like he has pretty similar stats to Boo. So
I could see that.
Yeah, nice switch up for me.
You know, it's funny when I was unlocking last month's. Somebody finally played as Wiggler, and I remember you telling me how funny it is. I hadn't seen Wiggler in action a whole lot, but you were telling me how funny the sounds are and everything about it.
Oh my God.
Dude, and the person was bombing it, so it was really funny getting to like sit back and watch just Wiggler in action. It's pretty wonky. Actually, you feel bad for Wiggler.
Absolutely. He really, really shows some pain and suffering in these animations.
I just couldn't help but feel bad. Like, and then you see the character underperforming, which is no fault to the character and more to the player. And you can't help but feel bad for Wiggler, just disappointed that the clock timed out on him, you know.
I found people online don't know the declare unplayable and rehit button exists, which is very needed.
Much more beneficial than sitting there and bombing it.
Especially on the desert, man. If you get caught down there at the bottom and on that one hole that's all elevated, you can't. There's no point.
I remember on 2 separate instances it happened to each of us, and it was terrible.
You just have to back it out.
You got to, bro. But I actually haven't unlocked this the Shy Guy set yet, but we got quite a bit of time left in the month to do it, man.
I did mine. Did you? Do you know exactly how long how many of these type of costumes we got for Mario Tennis Aces?
I'm not sure what kind of costume thing they did, really.
Didn't they do outfits like this as updates after the fact?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, maybe
I
not.
thought it was all character content.
Maybe not.
Because
Gotcha.
they came out with characters pretty regularly, it seemed.
What I'm getting to is how much longer do we have left of these costumes? Is this really something that they're going to do in perpetuity? I'm hoping so. It seems like we're done getting content updates for the game. Like, we haven't heard anything about that. So, I don't know.
We'll have to see, man. Love to see the continued support. I mean, I know that they're working on Battle League also. We got that update we talked about last episode.
That's what I'm saying. How many of these things can they work on?
Yeah, but
like, at the same time?
That's a good idea, comparing the Aces, schedule to the Super Rush schedule, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that.
Definitely.
We got an overview trailer for this cool new little Kirby game called Kirby's Dream Buffet. I think we mentioned it previously. Mm-hmm. But they showed the game modes, and that's what really intrigued me. Like I said, with the race, it's obviously you're collecting strawberries. You want to race. You want to be the first one at the end. Similar Fall Guys type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I told you, I like how they pan from the end and shoot to the beginning of the course. Reminds you of Sunshine, Super Monkey Ball, that type of thing.
Yeah. The arcade style platforming, like
we love
tilt games.
Yep. And the graphics on this really impressed me. I mean, I feel like they do the most when it comes to Kirby shit these days. Forgotten Land is a perfect example. But I feel like they're almost keeping that graphical quality intact with their other 3D Kirby outings.
You recognize a lot of the audio as being things from Forgotten Lands in terms of the sound effects and the music style.
I didn't think about that, but yeah.
I think they're definitely channeling the same sort of output, right, in terms of what it's going to look like, what it's going to sound like.
Definitely. They also announced mini game, which that speaks for itself. It's a mini game mode. It's kind of an all on one screen situation, and then a battle royale, which at this point we all understand how battle royale works. But
we do.
It's cool to see these game modes. Cool to see that they all involve collecting strawberries and that you have kind of a counter on them.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's going to be any like pay to play shit or like, buy strawberries. I don't think
almost certainly. I would say almost certainly.
I'd like to think there wouldn't be, but let's hope there won't be. Hopefully everything is like you got to collect your own shit to get shit and there isn't like a $5 strawberry pack,
I think you're going to be disappointed on that. Sorry.
I'm trying to be positive, man. I'm
just saying, it strikes me as a game that has MTX built in. Like, it certainly strikes me that way.
It gives the signs that it would be, yes. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, Tyler. It looks pretty fun. It's definitely something I'm going to try out. But anything Kirby these days, man, we're all on it. That's just part of what we do.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get into the big news topic today.
Yeah. The discussion worthy topic that has kind of got us both pretty excited, I think.
Just a few days after the last podcast, we got a Pokemon Presents. This is the type of shit. I mean, to you and I, a Pokemon Presents is a direct.
Always. Out of nowhere.
Always. And especially when they're talking about something like Scarlet and Violet. This isn't just like an update on Pokemon Go. This is a Scarlet and Violet is the star of the show, Pokemon Presents. And that's what we're looking for.
That's what we're waiting for.
We've been waiting for it, man, and here it is. I have to come out the gate with this, all right? Because I'm dying to know what you think about it. The legendaries.
Yeah.
Koraidon and Miraidon.
Yep.
It seems that all of our former HM, extra functions we get on Pokemon, they're kind of all going to be included in this one legendary.
Very interesting.
That is so interesting. Also, they did say this is the first time for the series, but it's an open world RPG. So it's
order.
It's an open. Yeah, you can do the gyms in any order, and it's got the 8 gym badge formula. I mean,
but that's only one of the 3 storylines in the game,
which is wild.
That is absolutely incredible. I think that's such a great idea.
Definitely.
Because you hate to, we love Gen 7, but there is a little bit of bittersweetness to changing the formula from the traditional, gym leaders and Elite Four format, right?
I mean, we just recently, it feels like recently, played through Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond. And as much as I'm in love with those games, that formula feels right. What we're used to. But Arceus showed us, dude, when they swap it up, it can be a great thing.
Definitely.
I think this is going to be a good little mix of old and new. I just wanted your opinion on the legendary thing first and foremost, because does this mean we're getting a legendary like early game?
Seems to be, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Seems to be.
If it's, I thought the wheel thing was interesting.
Yeah, so I had 2 thoughts. Sorry. I want to hear your thoughts on the 2 and which, we initially talked about I would be getting Violet, you'd be getting Scarlet, which was kind of the change up from our traditional, which one of the 2 we get. Usually I get the first one, you get the second one. So I want to see if that's still the case.
Unintentionally.
Are you excited or disappointed about your game's sort of box representation?
I'll be honest with you. I think Violet's might be a little cooler because of like the illuminated type of glow it has to it, to the yellow, and it kind of looks like it's emanating some type of energy. It looks really cool.
I agree.
But I always dedicate to my version, no matter what the legendary looks like.
I agree. I think that
I think that Koraidon also looks awesome though, because it kind of has this tribalistic looking feather situation.
There's only one thing that frustrates me.
What's that, T?
Which one is? Sorry, I get the names mixed up. Miraidon is the red one, right? The Scarlet.
I think Miraidon
legendary.
Is the violet one.
Okay,
Koraidon. Yeah.
The red one. The wheel doesn't turn. He has legs and he has a wheel, but the wheel doesn't turn.
Maybe I didn't catch that.
Like,
it just sits stationary?
It seems to be just completely stationary. And that, like, I could not take my eyes off of it waiting for it to turn while this guy's running.
Asterisk, gameplay not final.
And the purple one, it's very intentional. It's just like a stationary body part. Like, it's well defined and everything. I don't know. It really threw me off. I was expecting both of them to have wheels that were rolling.
Yeah, I guess I was watching it and didn't notice, but I do remember Miraidon's definitely rotating visibly.
Yeah, and the other one has legs and is running, and it looks awesome, except for just the dangly wheel part. I don't know. Maybe that's too harsh, or that's like I'm missing the point.
I don't know. Maybe the wheels in his case are water use only.
Maybe so. That could be true.
Maybe he hops in the water and he buoys up on his wheels.
Other than that slight thing, which is not really a criticism, right? That's just my own. I had something
it's
on the
observation, yeah.
I had something on the last game too, where I was like, something really caught me off guard and looked very different, and it threw me off. So it's probably just me, is what I'm saying. But other than that, I think that the Violet Box Legendary looks really, really cool.
I do too. I think they both look really awesome. I'm
very excited to be, I guess, riding around on that thing. And like the other thing that it made me think of was Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire post game, riding around on Latios and Latias.
Oh,
and
man.
how much we love that, and how much we both talked about that being like an amazing part of the game.
Definitely. That's probably the coolest part. The coolest new thing they added to Omega and Alpha.
which there was many. And so like that being like one of the coolest things. Yeah. Like, but this definitely gave me vibes of that, where we're going to be riding these Pokemon around on the overworld for real. And that's like still pretty novel in these games.
Definitely, man. I mean, the fact that it's open world, that makes you feel like we're going to have some open world traveling methods, you know?
Definitely. I think that's the purpose of these Pokemon, because it's going to be more expansive.
Yep. And speaking of expansive, what do you think about the Paldea region? How you think it's looking, bro?
I really like how it looks. I think the character design is very sharp. Like all the characters look very, well groomed, very modern looking, which I actually really like.
They look more human.
Definitely.
That's one thing I wanted to bring up, actually, is that I find that they're starting to make them look a bit more human than usual.
It feels more realistic.
Just
like
slightly,
the game feels more rooted in reality than possibly previously. You see Pokemon and people interacting, walking around, and that's things that they've been building in more, but just the degree to which they can animate this and just integrate Pokemon into the environment with people, it makes it feel... It gives you that same feeling that you kind of got from Detective Pikachu, where you're like, wow, these two different species completely coexist.
Yep. You bring something completely fictional into the real world. And that's kind of like, it's like a reverse of that with this. Because all the characters they showed at the main and even trainers seem to be a little bit more on the human side than we're used to. They're still maintaining that look that we're used to these days, but it's looking a bit more detailed,
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're going to be really satisfied, as usual, with the big Pokemon releases. I mean, it seems like the one people didn't receive the best was Sword and Shield, and we love Sword and Shield.
Yeah, and I think this game is going to be the culmination of kind of everything we've gotten from the Switch Pokemon games so far. Like it's got a little bit of everything, and I think that's going to be really nice. And
with 3 storylines and an in no order gym situation,
unbelievable.
It seems like we're gonna have a lot of content in this game.
Yeah, and I can't wait. And a lot of the new Pokemon, I gotta say, are looking great.
Definitely, man. I love the starters. I'm a huge fan of this lineup of starters, dude.
Absolutely.
And that's the moment we popped off on the Presents, is whenever the mascot costumes came out of the 3 starters, because you knew it was about to be talked about.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're waiting on. They talked about so many other things in the Presents. Unite, Go. The only other thing I wanted to really mention was that they're gonna have a code, a password for a Victini you can claim on Sword and Shield.
That's got to be done.
So I'm sure that they're going to have that password all over the place, and we'll be reporting it, but it's going to have to be done. I like hopping on the old games and redeeming anything that they put out password-wise, with the mystery
gift. We try to stay
gift.
current on it as much as possible. I know we've both missed a few things here and there that have been heartbreaking.
For you, it was that Oak's letter. Is that what it was? Like the flute?
The Darkrai thing. I think we both missed the Darkrai.
Nah, I got it, but you didn't, and it was heartbreaking.
I got the Oak's letter.
Oh, was it the Azure flute then?
I don't know. I don't remember. There was definitely one of those that was really brutal for sure recently.
Yeah. But Scarlet and Violet, man, looking forward to it.
Yeah, these games are going to be really special. I think that we're going to see a lot of mechanics and just things that we haven't seen before. Like, what do you even? I can't even begin to speculate on the other 2 storylines. Like, how much? I don't know. It's hard to even imagine.
Like, I wonder how different our paths are going to be when we fire into this thing. Because that's a good point. We're going to discuss our progress, but it might be completely different.
But there is an element of us playing together, too. I think that is something we haven't touched on quite yet, but it's going to be like somewhat cooperative almost. It seems like, at least in the Pokemon areas, they've shown a lot of clips of interfacing with other people. So
It's like we got teased for this on Sword and Shield, and this is the real multiplayer.
yeah, that was like a hollow, like, ugh, it was almost creepy to run across these people and just get these like canned things of them giving you whatever currency. Like it was a little bit creepy to run across those NPCs and then be so robotic.
Definitely, kind of like on remember Sun and Moon. Whenever you everybody's in the plaza, but it's just their character, and you talk to them, you know, and they're an NPC. It is creepy to communicate with the real player as an NPC, but it seems in this case, at least in certain areas, we're going to be rolling together, literally. Which, imagine rolling together and opening up a battle like cooperatively, kind of like Arceus style, where like we just throw our Pokeballs out and just and jump them.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds incredible. And like just trading back and forth on the fly, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, catching different shit and encountering different shit, or encountering the same shit that we haven't gotten yet together, you know? This is shit we haven't really done before, or weren't able to do at all, really.
Absolutely. The max layer raid battles on Sword and Shield definitely had an element of this.
That's the closest you can get without us walking together, I think.
Which I still have a Zygarde queued up in mind that we need to catch for sure.
Let's do that, dude. That'd be really cool to get back on that.
Because that's got to be one of the easiest ways to get all these legendaries compared to freaking Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, man. Grinding those shards that you need takes forever in the underground.
It's a good thing the underground's cool and it's fun, man. Because you definitely have to grind down there if you're trying to
do that and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough,
which I am trying to do.
It's good, man. I feel like I grinded for hours, 4 or 5 hours, and I only ended up unlocking like the first 2 from the things that I got.
I wonder where I'd be sitting, because I did a lot of underground grinding before I actually finished the game.
Doesn't count. The shards are only enabled after you beat the game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm about starting from zero, because that's content that I want to get into and haven't gotten to.
Yeah, which is going to be a theme later in this podcast.
Absolutely. But at the end of the news segment, man, all we really wanted to bring up, we didn't really catch it ourselves or have any desire to cover it, but they did come out with a dedicated Splatoon 3 Direct.
Yeah, neither of us are big into Splatoon, so we don't tend to keep up with these games, even though they do look awesome. Like, I love the visuals. I like everything I see from the games, but just never gotten into them.
Definitely. They look fun. I don't know why I feel like I'm just late enough to it to where I don't feel hot about jumping in. But
we just don't have the same connection to like the franchise as we do some of these other big boys.
The biggest connection we have is that we both have the Joy-Cons. But other than that, you know, I think I might have played it a little bit on the trial and had a little fun with it. Watched some competitive one day, just bored when I you know, thought it was pretty cool seeing it played competitively. It's a very competitive game. But just haven't gotten into it. It's cool to see a direct for it, but it's also interesting to see a direct straight from Nintendo for a game that we're not particularly picking up.
Yeah, and that happens.
It happens.
You know, that's part of how it is.
But I think a big reason for the backlog that we're getting into later on is definitely the fact that we keep up on the releases we love, and most of them are releases we love.
Exactly. But the game does look cool from everything I've seen.
Definitely.
So, never know if they come out. Do they have a demo? I should know this.
I don't think they have a demo now.
No, not yet. Okay.
No.
Well, we may get one soon, and if they do put one out, I'm definitely going to download that and check it out.
I'll fire it up for sure, yeah. How about we talk about gaming before the internet? I say that so simply, but it's a lot to talk about.
Let's do it, man. I mean, yeah, there's so much to cover, right? I mean, where do you even begin? I guess we should start, kind of chronologically.
Nothing that we're doing at this moment is before the internet. This is all done with the internet. We're in a much different time than our childhood.
That's true. I mean, theoretically, you can kind of start before us, right? I mean, you think about things like the 80s and even the 70s, kind of what they were rolling out with Atari and everything. Like that was all pre-internet as well. Like,
And I feel like if you're trying to go back that far, it makes me think about how a lot of this was single player solitary gaming.
absolutely.
But let's just be upfront about it. Now, that's a lot of the gaming that we do, period. But as far as options, we have the option at any moment to play anything online together.
No question.
But at this time, imagine, a lot of these people playing shit, man. I mean, like you said, Atari and these TV plug and plays. Because this is even before, we can't even bring up DOS games and shit like that because that's internet. I mean, we're talking even before that.
Definitely.
So I can imagine a lot of single player going on more than ever.
Definitely. If a game had 2 players, I think you were thankful, right? Pong.
Yeah.
You got your 2 paddles.
You got your 2 wheels. You're just loving it.
Yep. Pong was like the original Smash.
Like everybody's talking on the schoolyard talking about, I'll fuck you up at Pong.
I wonder, probably not. I think computers were so unknown to people that video games, I think it took so long for them to catch on en masse, but maybe not. Maybe there was Pong beef in the schoolyard.
There's going to be beef about anything where there's a winner and a loser. Let's be real about it. But shit, man, you going back that far. It's funny because I didn't even think back further than our beginnings.
Right. Our primary point is before we had the internet, right? Which that's going to be, for me, probably age 6. I think for you, a couple years after that.
Shit, I'm trying to remember, man, but I was probably 11 or 12 before we actually even had internet. Interesting situation. I think a lot of people had the internet before me and had a cell phone before me and shit like that. I was late to the party, but I still kept up with my gaming before the internet ways. You know what I mean? So maybe I got out of that later than most people.
Definitely, but I think that makes it even more interesting because, a lot of things that we're going to talk about existed during the internet era, but maybe they didn't interact with the internet in any way with us, even if we did have access to it. It's not like...
Yeah, it's not all time period. It's all accessibility also.
Yeah, exactly. And even when I did have the internet as a kid, it's not like I was one-to-one using that to talk about games and play games with other people and
Totally.
Stuff like that.
And it's funny you say talk to people because later on we'd have things like Game FAQ and, the message boards and shit that we used to go on for RE4 and stuff like that. I remember you and I used to eat that shit up. But before then, all we had was word of mouth and what was printed on paper.
That's right.
Strategy guides, magazines like Nintendo Power.
Yep.
And what our friends had to say, that was a big part of it, man.
And strategy guides was the closest thing that we had, right? Like a Prima or Brady Games guide was the most expansive in-one resource you could get for most games.
That was your internet for that game, and that was bottom line. That was your wiki printed out in a physical book for you.
Absolutely.
And it's funny. It makes me think about when I didn't really sit down and play through games with strategy guides next to me as much as I had them for maybe some slight reference or just to like read while I'm shitting. It's funny, but I feel like one game I did play through all the way and use the strategy guide to be like, I am 100%ing this game was Majora's Mask.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yep. And that was actually a great time. I feel
that's a good game for it, man, because that game's pretty confusing for a kid.
It is, but I wanted to do everything. I wanted to catch all of the events that happened at weird times, like the side events. And the strategy guide is just the way to go for that, because like whenever you're moving through, they always had them off to the side and been like, oh yeah, like Keifi's story and stuff, how to trigger it. Just for the Keifi thing, dude, that was like over the course of 3 days, you had to dedicate all of your time to following, interacting, catching certain things before it's too late, right with the clock. So, I mean, without a strategy guide, how could any person, let alone child, experience everything the game has to offer?
It would take forever.
It seems very improbable because Majora's Mask was not linear. But it's not a Majora's Mask review. It's just one of the games that really stick out to me when we talk about strategy guides.
I feel like the only game that I went to the store and came back with the game and the strategy guide was San Andreas.
Oh, that's a good one too, because what an expansive game.
Yeah, it's hugely expansive, and it was very helpful for stuff like horseshoes, photo ops, all the stuff that is collectible.
There's just so much extra shit in the game, dude.
And
it's
weapon
a big
locations. You can't memorize the weapon locations. Like, even though I was happy to just fire cheats into the wind on every save file.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with GTA, it's all about the fun.
Yeah, totally. Now when I play, like if I was to go back and play San Andreas right now, I would not cheat until I, did a save and then kind of like just go off and don't save it, right? That was the method.
Definitely, man. We're going to, I forgot to mention, we're going to do the gaming and pickups before 3 Shop. Because we had a nice little gaming and pickups today.
Yeah, I figure we could chuck it in there.
Definitely. But another thing that hits me with the strategy guides, Pokemon, you already know.
That's what I was beating around the bush till we got to that. Because for me, I would say almost every single one that I had, which wasn't that many. I think I had a very comprehensive gold, silver one. And I actually had a pretty crappy gold, silver one. And then I had a very comprehensive crystal one. That was like the definitive. Both. That was just the big picture of Suicune on the front.
Yep.
Like
I had the same thing.
That was it,
dude. Because Crystal was just different enough to where it constituted having its own guide.
I wonder if I gave that to you, because I don't know where that ever went to over the years.
Neither do I. So whether it's yours or mine or whatever, it's gone.
Probably not, but that thing is invaluable. Like that thing saved so much just knowing what levels Pokemon needed, right? Like
definitely
stone evolutions for the new Pokemon.
That was what I used it the most for, was what Pokemon are on this route.
Yep.
I remember when I think back to Red, Blue, and Yellow, that's the big thing, was whenever I would get to, and that stayed with me through adulthood. Not with the strategy guide or anything like that, but as far as when I'm playing a Pokemon game, I'm like, oh, I have to catch everything on this route, then I'll move on.
Really?
That's why every time I hit Viridian City, when I replay an old Pokemon, like the original, I always have to stop in Viridian and not move on until I catch the like 5% rate Pikachu.
Yep.
It's got to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because that right in the beginning of the game, walking into the first actual challenge of the game, you get access to a Pikachu. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
And it's really strong to have too. I mean,
definitely. What other electric type are you going to get that early on? In the sea of Pidgeys and Rattatas. Even the Mankey you can catch off to the side of Viridian. That's like, to me, that's big shit. Just having a fighting type early game.
Yep, which is not a thing in... It's either red or blue. I can't remember. One of them, that Mankey's not there.
I know.
And it's heartbreaking because you go to find it and realize you're on the wrong version.
But it's okay, because if you're doing it for the Brock, you can always get your Nidoran and double kick. That's the method. That's the method if you didn't pick Squirtle.
Or you just brute force it with Ember on Charmander.
Or if you pick Charmander, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny, Pokemon really just gaming before the internet almost equals Pokemon for us.
Pretty much.
It's really hilarious.
I think maybe the first game I ever completed without any internet input would probably be like, in terms of full 100% completion, would probably have to be trading card game. Like Pokemon trading card game.
That was the first one for you?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think that would be every card necessarily, because, but I would say in terms of doing every piece of content that game has in general, like, and it's not one that takes too long to do, but I was proud of myself.
What a game that is, man.
Absolutely.
If you haven't played that on your Super Game Boy yet, do yourself a favor.
You told me about this. I mean to do so for sure.
So awesome, dude. Yeah. Any of the black cartridges, some of the ones that just have the little game pack symbol on them. It's funny, accessories and all that. Because we're talking before internet. Everything's tangible, everything's physical. The internet brought emulation. So accessibility to games was so much more limited for us before the internet, dude. Because it was all cartridge. And you didn't know anybody bootlegging cartridges like they were bootlegging software later on or things like post-internet. That's where bootlegging media almost came from.
Absolutely.
So everything we had to be authentic. It had to be in hand. It had to be real. So that limited us on what we play. Now you get older. I remember before I even put an emulator on a computer, I thought it was great whenever you could just play old NES games in Flash format. That used to blow my mind, and I did it so much.
Yep.
But before then, you better have the cartridge because you're not playing it. So that there comes the swap of cartridges and the trading of games temporarily or permanently. That type of shit. You don't hear about as much anymore, except from maybe a collector stance, not a kid trying to play a game stance.
Yeah, definitely. We used to trade games for a lot of reasons, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we would give our own games as gifts and stuff, and I feel like that's, I don't know, it's just different. It's just different now.
Like the Pokemon Gold and the Burger King Pokeball, dude.
That's right. But it's just different. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't have the same. Maybe I think part of it is because cartridges are so small, right? Like a Switch cartridge is so incredibly tiny that
I've still never tasted one either.
I haven't either. I have no interest in doing so.
No, I don't want to lick any contacts.
No. Well, it's for the plastic. It's the plastic that's supposed to be so bitter.
Is it? I thought it was the chip. Like the actual contacts.
Definitely. Either way, I'm not really licking a Switch game.
I didn't mean to derail you. I just know that's a thing. So just thought I'd mention I've never tasted it.
But I think they're like trading my cartridge for your cartridge or my disc for your disc. I don't know. Yeah. It just felt like a real barter kind of thing.
Definitely. Because nowadays I feel like we're adults here, so if we're hot enough to purchase something, we're not in the headspace we used to be in where maybe we're going to turn around and want to sell it. I feel like when we make these $60 game purchases, it's on something we're going to keep.
And back in the day, we didn't have income, so one of the only avenues to acquire new games was to trade what we had. That's
probably the biggest thing, right? I mean,
totally.
Accessibility also equals your parents' disposable income and how willing they are to dish out the games. Now, I mean,
even so, though, like sometimes you want to buy or like you want to acquire games outside of your parents. I feel like even if you did have money as a kid, like
definitely, but we didn't.
Yeah, in terms of your parents just buying you anything that you wanted, which I feel like is probably not the case for most people, right?
You don't get anything you want. You bring up a bunch of things and something's picked. Exactly. Or if you want one thing, you better be reasonable and you better be specific.
Yeah. So I think that trading has a huge appeal in that sense. And it's one of the reasons that I kind of have decided that getting back into physical media is the way to go as opposed to digital. Like, I think that in a big way.
Yep. You could do things like let your boy borrow Bravely Default 2. If you had bought the digital, you wouldn't have been able to do that.
Exactly. Yep.
So that beauty's still intact. If the grid went down, you might still be able to play Bravely Default 2.
Exactly, and that's a big thing. Like, that's a big difference.
Yeah, and
we had no concept of digital games before the internet. Like,
not at all.
It wasn't even possible, right? Like,
Yeah, there was no EverDrive or anything like that, to where we were gonna get any type of, forget tactile, any type of emulation of any sort. It was all have to have system, have to have game, has to work.
Yep.
So I can only imagine the heartbreak and the instances we probably can't even remember where a game maybe stopped working. That's life crushing. Because an adult's not going to be like, oh, I'll just get you the game again. They're going to be like, oh, the game doesn't work. Well, you should have took better care of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's really rare. It would have to be something really specific.
I don't think I've ever had a game in its lifespan, like, growing up, that actually stopped working on me.
Every Pokemon Gen 2 game, I mean, in the sense of
the battery going out.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, if not being able to save, I would consider not working.
But I learned how to solder because of Pokemon Silver.
Correct. Yeah. But you couldn't have done that at 7, probably.
Could have, not sure. Would have, maybe. Would have tried. I mean, if I knew the option was available, but I do remember I learned
because we didn't have the internet.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to look up how to solder. Of course, I had my grandpa to show me, so that's
nice. But you wouldn't even know about the internal battery or anything.
Absolutely. You are completely correct, because that is some game FAQ shit.
100%.
Without a doubt.
Yep. No question.
And that's another thing, man. We might not have known the proper maintenance on our games without the internet coming, because everybody spent their whole life blowing into cartridges, and that's actually not good for your games.
And we saw that. I mean, the internet doesn't even cure that entirely, right? Think about something like Red Ring of Death with Xbox. It just shreds your game. It's completely avoidable, but it still happened to people all the time.
Anytime you have people that air their issues out on the internet they're having with something, I feel like that exposes us to the issue. So we can then use the internet to get familiar with the issue and maybe solve it. So
Game FAQs is how I learned about the whole internal battery and everything, 100%.
And we used to always recommend that to each other. Before then, it was all word of mouth, man. It's so crazy. Because if we would have opened it up, we would have been like, I don't know how to decide what's wrong with it,
Yeah, you wouldn't know where to begin.
So shout out to any adults that opened it and said, oh, maybe your battery's not working. Maybe we'll replace the battery.
Yeah, that would be really impressive.
But we've come such a long way now with, we both have Steam Decks, man. I mean, that thing right there, that's the opposite of gaming before the internet. That's PC gaming.
Because of the internet.
Gaming because of the internet. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's a physical item that represents an entirely digital space. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and see, we talk about physical media and digital media and go back and forth about it, but that's one big plus to digital media is that you could buy something like the Steam Deck, and I've got 200 games ready to load.
Unbelievable. Yeah. It makes this... I wanted to get to MAME because that was like the proto... For me, the first time I ever played a MAME disc with all the old arcade games on it, it blew my mind because I had no concept of emulation until that point.
Shit like that and multi-carts back in the day when they had multi-carts with a bunch of different games on them that were pirated, Mm-hmm. That was the before the internet emulation, I guess you could say.
Yeah, my first exposure to that concept was definitely through like a MAME 32 disc.
Yeah, because there was distribution of shit for computers before the internet was what it is, where there was shareware and it was very physical and very tangible.
Mm-hmm. I had not broken into that world for the first few years, though. Definitely, I was never like. I didn't have a fast enough internet connection to download anything.
Oh, I was
on AOL.
Bro, I was rotating AOL trial discs in the beginning.
Definitely. So I couldn't do anything online that required any kind of connection speed of any sort. So it was web pages only.
It was like a gift from the heavens anytime a phone book or like one of those newspaper things came in with the AOL disc.
Yep.
It's just a guaranteed 7 days of shitty internet.
Yep.
And we loved it. Ate it up.
And that's what it was. But that was enough to learn some of this stuff at the beginning.
Isn't that funny that it's funny that we were waiting on physical media, a disc, like a 7-day disc to actually load 7 days of internet. That sounds like some old school shit at this point.
Absolutely.
Because there ain't no disc now. We just put in our credit card.
That's right.
Or debit card and just fucking roll with it. Pay it monthly.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Plus the internet was shitty in the beginning anyway. Now we have options. You can make it faster and,
that's what I'm saying.
We're rolling in it. But in the beginning, in the early stages, it was shit all around.
There was no like downloading of anything really
no.
When I was a kid.
The torture, the pain. I probably used one of those 7-day discs downloading World of Warcraft.
Oof.
Think about it.
No way.
WoW on a dial-up connection.
That sounds horrendous.
Yeah. But yep, no WoW, no RuneScape, nothing like that, man. That was later pleasures that would come after the internet was a big thing for us.
RuneScape was the first thing that was like fully internet based. I mean, it was the first thing in a lot of ways, right? But like that was a game that you went onto the internet to play.
Exactly. There was no offline option. Kind of like
there
WoW,
was it wasn't even a client. Like you literally just logged into your browser.
Yep.
And it was there.
The good days.
I think that was like crazy. And now they don't even have a web client on anything. Like there is no web client to play on.
Yep. And you can play it on the Steam Deck. I actually haven't launched it on the Steam Deck, but I still want to do that.
Yeah.
Any other big points on the before the internet days you wanted to make?
Just that, like, I don't know. I wonder if we sound like gatekeepy with this, but definitely not intending to, right? This is just sort of our experience of like, it just used to be very different, but we saw the changeover happen.
Yeah, it's a casual conversation coming from our childhood being less internet oriented.
Exactly.
Something a lot of people after us can't really relate with because we were literally right before the internet was the all inclusive everything.
Yeah.
But it's just another nice conversation for us to talk about.
Yeah, man.
The much more physical side of media than digital. Now that the accessibility to digital shit is limitless, literally.
And the Steam Deck has put it into our direct consumption as well.
Consuming the whole space of emulator, modern games, everything.
Yep.
You could play anything from any time period on the Steam Deck. It's funny how we get to the end of gaming before the internet, and the Steam Deck is the future
complete
end
inverse.
All. Yeah. But I guess that's where we are, Tyler. We've come a long way since we've done our gaming before the internet. I really feel like I was trying to not reiterate things I've said in the past today with this, because we've gone down the schoolyard route. We can talk about that forever. The days where we were like allowed to bring devices and link up, and finally we've been talking about trading this for that, and we finally get to do it. Or we've been talking shit about how our team would roll you, and then we finally get to battle, shit like that.
Yeah. Stick my 6 cloned ho-ohs on you.
Yeah. Man, it was too easy to clone shit back in the day. Yep. Nothing but legendaries on the team.
Beat that. 6 ho-ohs or 6 Dragonites.
Beat that.
6 Dragonites was definitely the thing for a long time.
On
Gold for me.
That's a big brain thing. I love Dragonite to death, so I mean, I'm always with it. But man, if you got nothing else on gaming before the internet, I think we should roll straight into the top 5.
Let's do it, man.
It's a painful one. Oh,
let's talk
first,
about the top 5 backup. Sorry, you had something first.
No. I was just going to give a disclaimer, but we are doing the top 5
backlog.
Unforgivable
backlog.
We can't forgive ourselves.
Shameful shameful stuff here.
In our defense, though, we're working men. We work really hard.
Yeah.
And I just got out of a 6-day work week, so I don't want to hear nothing about not completing these games. But at the same time,
we cherish what precious time we can with these games.
We do. And this is not to say that we haven't touched these games, because all of these games are games that I've played for the most part thoroughly, but haven't completed to say I completed it.
Not for me.
Painful,
most of these are games that I've
list.
barely played that I wish that I played way more.
Well, I don't usually start, so how about I start, man?
Go for it.
My honorable mention, just because it's not a full game necessarily, it's really DLC content, but it's actually Torn of the Golden Country, the DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah, you've been heavy into Xenoblade land.
Gaming and pickups is going to be a lot of that. Xenoblade 3 has been all I've played for the most part. But with Xenoblade 2, I actually wanted to get into Torna because it was kind of going back and very insightful into the past in accordance with the events of 2. So that was something I always said, after I complete Xenoblade 2, I'm going to roll into it. Never rolled into it. So I already purchased the DLC, and when I got 2 gifted to me, I immediately purchased the DLC just because it was a no-brainer. So that's just something I really want to get into, man. Whenever I get through with 3, I'm probably going to double back and hit up Torn of the Golden Country, man. And I'm looking forward to it. No reason not to. It's right there on my Switch, paid for, preloaded. Just got to get around to it like everything else on here.
That's a great pick, man.
Thanks, bro.
For me, my number 6 is my honorable mention, whatever you want to call it. My
number 6, yeah.
extra. It's cheating because it's 2 games. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. I'm a huge MGS fanboy. That is well documented. I've played through about the first 2 levels of 5. But I need to get through more. It's a little bit of a bittersweet game just because of the way that, Kojima, I'm very loyal to Kojima-san, and I feel a little bit strange about the way that the game came out, but I still do want to play it. What I've played of it is very exciting and very interesting, so maybe the last ever MGS main series title. I mean,
yeah.
We thought that would be the case with 4. That was positioned to be the last one, which is part of my weird feeling about 5, right? Because when 4 came out, Kojima said, "That's it, we're done."
So you kind of feel like,
the end of the story.
Was this supposed to happen?
Yeah, so I'm interested in it though, and I have it downloaded. It's on the Steam Deck, which is a great place to have access to it, and I mean to play it very soon, but just haven't done so yet. And then by the same token, Death Stranding. I think I have access to this game on PlayStation Plus. I know a lot of people don't have an interest in this game or actively didn't like it.
I do not.
Which is completely understandable. I, as I just mentioned, am very loyal to Kojima-san, so I'm willing to give it a lot of leeway, and really, from everything I've heard, the gameplay improves considerably the further you go, and it becomes much more enjoyable the more you play. So I'm willing to give it time to see if that develops, but because I know that that is the nature of the game and it's very grindy and possibly unfun at the beginning, that's been why I haven't actually picked it up yet.
Yeah, you must be real loyal to Kojima-san if you're willing to give Death Stranding some leeway, man.
I've heard from a lot of big MGS fans that if you play through it, you will love it. So that is what I'm going off of.
Hey, I mean, I haven't personally played it, so I can't really speak authoritatively on it.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But it might definitely be for me.
Definitely for fans of the Strand type genre, which apparently this game created, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The next one I want to throw out, man, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, one that you are going to talk about on Gaming and Pickups, and one that you have actually completed.
Yep, I did complete this game, and my wife and I recently completed the post game like content in terms of the extra worlds and stuff like that.
Awesome,
the dream world
dude,
at the
yeah.
end.
Yep.
So I'm not going to go too
Good
much into
shit.
this. Not going to go too much into the story of it, but it's very exciting. They get rid of the sort of level, like do this to save Waddle Dee's specific like challenges, you know, like beat the level without taking damage or just discovering, you know, knock down 5 posters or whatever to get a Waddle Dee. You lose that in these post game levels, but in exchange, the entire level becomes a much more interesting platform challenge. And there's just one type of collectible all over that you collect. So you just have to go all over to get it. So it's pretty fun, man. Very, very challenging. I really enjoyed that. But not to co-opt your pick, but I just wanted to mention that. And I'll talk more about it later. Sorry.
Yeah. The big thing is I like to be very completionist with the game. So I don't like to just blow through everything. I like to try to clear. Mm-hmm. Now, I realized as far as I got into it, that's unrealistic if I'm trying to get to the end. I'm not going to stop in along the way, every single objective, just keep replaying the level. I kind of want to move forward. There's going to be...
that.
That's so awesome. But I think I am going to do a little bit of double back playing, you know.
That's the way to go, I think, because the in-game content is so fun that it's worth it.
But props for doing that as you go, because there's a lot of extra objectives. You know?
Typically, we would go back and replay a level until we got absolutely everything.
That's awesome. That's really the ideal way to play.
Yeah.
I just started to, as I was playing it, I thought maybe I'll do a little bit of backtracking for some here and there.
Definitely. It can be repetitive. There was times where we would turn the game off because we played a level 5 times and we just kept messing up at the end. Some of the levels at the end of the game are extremely long. And there's parts where if you mess up one of these Waddle Dees, you have to replay the whole entire level. Yeah. And that is pretty frustrating at times. So I think it can be worth it to do it that way too.
Well, shout out to the dedication for completing it, man.
Yeah, but it's on your list, man. I definitely, I definitely think it's something that you'll thoroughly enjoy.
And I'm going to get around to it, man. Everything on this list is going to get around to. Overlapping releases and just free time. I got a big vacation coming up, man, so I'm going to be doing a lot of backlogging.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, really? I'm not going to lie, man. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is going to take up a lot of that time. Let's be real.
I believe it. That seems like one that's going to have a pretty dense offering in terms of doing everything you want to do.
And I'm pulled in, so. How about your next pick, brother?
Number 5 on my list is Age of Empires 4. I picked up this game on sale, blessedly. It's almost been out for a year. It's been out for like 10 months now. I picked it up on sale recently, and I'm a big AoE 2 fan, as everyone would know.
Absolutely.
So I picked up 4. Very pleased with it. I really enjoyed the gameplay of it quite a bit. I thought that it was similar in all the ways that kind of matter to 2, and different in ways that were pleasing. So, but I haven't put a ton of time onto the game. So definitely want to try and get good at the game and actually, play online and stuff and, play through the campaign and do all that stuff. But the fact that I don't feel like I can quite play it on the Steam Deck, it's a little bit too mouse movement intensive for me personally. That definitely is a detractor, but doesn't mean I'm not going to try.
I would like to get an AoE form myself, man. It's going to come eventually. I'd like to dive on it.
It's awesome, man. It's good.
I wouldn't mind if it was playable and reasonable. I'd like to play AoE 2 on the Steam Deck.
It is. If you get so the DE is the best version, the definitive edition. Mm-hmm. That unfortunately right now is not playable. But the AoE 2 HD, which is just the Conqueror's expansion ported up to HD graphics, not really a lot of huge changes mechanically and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That is playable on the deck. So
do you recommend that?
If you specifically want to play AoE on the deck, I would say yeah, because you can
That's
probably
the option. Yeah.
you can have it pretty cheaply. If you're not in a rush, I do think DE will be compatible eventually. I'm hoping.
I'm not in
It's
a
just
rush, so
because
that'd be
it has a pop up at the beginning of the game that is like you can't get through it. There's no way.
So it's not playable at all.
It's literally unplayable.
Wow,
Yeah, I could
okay.
not even boot into it. So it may be worth it to wait because I could see that being fixed.
I think I'll wait then. Shit. If you think it's worth it, I'll wait, man. But AoE 4, great pick.
Thanks, man. What's your number 4?
Next up, I've got Bravely Default 2. We've mentioned a few games on my list today, and that's one of them. I played through the original Bravely Default on 3DS. Did complete that. Haven't gotten to finish 2. One of the many RPGs that just you don't know what there is for it, man. You know, you just got to go back and finish it.
Absolutely.
Played a lot of it, played enough to know. With these RPGs, you don't have to necessarily finish them, get to the point of completion to know how much you love the game.
That's definitely true.
I mean, you know X amount of hours in how much you love these RPGs or how much you don't. I think that's a solid thing. Bravely Default 2 is up there for me, even though I haven't finished it. But I'll definitely get back around to it. The one on 3DS took me so long because Bravely Default games just are long, man. It is what it is.
I love that, though.
It's one of those, 80-plus hour. The way I play, 80-plus is low. I am everything, everywhere, every route of every cave bullshit, man. The way I play RPGs, I'm trying to cover all grounds, so that's a big reason for a lot of my backlog is how thorough I have to be or feel I have to be on RPGs.
Yeah, I understand.
But Bravely Default 2 got to double back to it, man.
I agree. My number 4, Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. I cheated again.
Oh, I completed both.
Yeah, I know. And I'm jealous because they're good, but I just have not had the time. But they're both on the Steam Deck. It's going to happen soon.
Oh, yeah, man.
Those are perfect games for this.
I haven't fired up either on the Steam Deck. I bet they play so well.
Me neither. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
But yeah, that's great picks right there. And that deserves a 2-for-1. It's basically, I mean, they're so intertwined. You actually go back to the Raccoon City Police Department on the 3.
Nice.
Like, so, I mean, that's a fantastic pick, man. I was wondering when you said Resident Evil, what you were going to say after that. I knew it wasn't 4.
No, I think I've probably put enough time in that one for everyone's backlog.
That's the anti-backlog right there.
Yeah.
So,
But with 4 coming out, the fact that you say 2 and 3 have some tie-in together makes me excited and makes me feel like I need to play them even more because with 4 coming out next year or whatever, 2 years from now, I want to know what's going on, right?
Yeah. If I were you, I'd start with 2.
That's my plan.
Definitely start with 2. There's a lot more to 2 than 3. Mm-hmm. And No Way Out extra game modes is something I think you're going to be a big fan of. The scenario gameplay.
I'm into it.
But next up on my list, man, Metroid Dread.
Oh my God, this isn't on my list, but it easily could have or even should have been.
I have gotten some good time in with the game. Know it's fantastic. Haven't completed it. No excuse for it. It's just one I haven't made it back to. But recently I've been itching to pop Metroid Dread in.
I have too, actually. I've been thinking about that game a lot.
Do you actually own it?
I own it, but I barely played it.
No shit. I don't know why I didn't even connect.
I didn't get it until way later, but I got it for.
Dude, what is going on? I can't believe
Christmas. I think my wife got it for me for Christmas.
No shit. Well, that's a great game to own, man, because it's so good.
Yeah, and I own it physical, obviously. So that's on my backlog. It's not on my
physical
list,
as well.
It's been on my mind lately.
It's a great pick, man. I mean, even though it's my pick, I think it's a great pick.
I think it's a great
both
pick
of
too.
us. I mean, Metroid Dread, dude. Demo available. No reason not to play it. You will fall in love with it. No question.
It just came out at the same time as so much other stuff.
I know. And that the same could be said for almost everything on my list with that, man. Overlapping releases and momentary moods for what you're into and shit like that, you know?
Yep.
That's just what it is. But what's your next pick, my man?
My number 3 pick is a little bit of a change up. It's not a recent title, but it is something that I gained access to recently. Paper Mario 64. This is something that's available on the Switch Online expansion pack, and I've never played it, but it's a game that I love, even though I've never played it or barely played it, right? Like I know a lot about the game. I've watched a lot of video content about the game, but never actually played it.
You don't ever have to explain yourself to me, man. You love it. I love it. I haven't completed it either. I got a save file going on the Switch Online. I already know how great it is, though, without completing it.
It's going to have to happen soon.
It's going to have to happen. If there's any game on the Switch Online that needs it, I think that's the one.
I agree. That's the only one on my list from Switch Online, but I had to because it's been popping into my mind all the time. Like,
my whole
you need
list
to play
is
this
Switch,
thing.
man. There's so many other games I thought about that were actually on Steam that I didn't bring up. But Paper Mario, since you're talking, I'm going to cheat and bring up Bug Fables, The Everlasting Sapling. That's an indie game I purchased, have available on Steam Deck. But I just haven't fired it up, and I don't know why. I feel like once I dive in, I want to have time to work on it. I don't want to just go in, start it, and then disappear from it. So I haven't found the opportune time, but that's a very Paper Mario-esque game that people really champion, especially when Origami King came out and people were like, oh, if you want that traditional Paper Mario, you should check out Bug Fables. Same art style, shit like that. Something to think about if you ever see it on sale drastically. It goes on sale pretty good here and there.
Nice.
But very, it's got the witty humor, same visual style. Just an indie developer, there's a lot of greatness that could be there.
Absolutely.
But am I throwing out mine now?
Was Bug Fables on your list? No, right?
No.
So yeah, it'll be your number 3, I believe, or your number 2.
My number 2, and it's a painful one to throw out. But Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Oof, yeah, that is rough.
It hurts. I haven't completed it, man. Haven't gotten to the end. It's gonna have to happen before Scarlet and Violet. I think that's safe to say.
There's a very cool fight that I don't think you've gotten to yet that I really want to talk about with you, man. You gotta, and it's not even at the end of the end. It's just at the end of the main story. Like, you gotta get there.
I'm gonna get there, bro. Trust me. It's funny because whenever I do get back on, I'm inspired by my girl to do so because she hops on from time to time. And every time I hear the music, every time I glance over at the screen, I can't help myself. I feel like I have to boot it too, man.
Yeah, it's a great game.
It is.
I haven't really played it since I beat it, right? But I'm very happy to have played it.
It's fantastic.
It's awesome.
Definitely. Another one that you love before you complete it. It is what it is.
Definitely.
Looking forward to what's in store with the game, though, man.
Definitely, but if you're trying to do it before Scarlet and Violet, you don't have a lot of time, man. Those games are 3 months out.
I know. But we'll see. I got a big vacation coming up. We're going to see what happens, man.
Mix it in there a little bit.
Absolutely. I think I could binge the shit out of it and make my way pretty far. If I sat down and focused,
Definitely. I think it took me about 75 hours to do everything, and I haven't even done all the side missions. I did everything else, but not all the go here, do this missions. I did most of them.
It's probably why I haven't made as much progress, is because I do all the side shit and hold myself up from the main progression. I
would say I've done the vast majority, except certain stuff that just is very tedious.
Which is understandable. I mean, you want to make progress.
Yep.
So you don't have to put them on these lists.
My number 2, speaking of not making progress, Octopath Traveler. It's a game we talk about all the time. It's a game that I've championed and gotten people to buy, but I've actually only played it not as much as I'd like. Very, very, very early into the story. Got sidetracked with other RPGs at the time. Got sidetracked with other RPGs after the fact. and this one just never really popped back into the rotation, but it's well on my mind, especially after I've been taking a break on Triangle Strategy, even though I could go play that game right now and still get what I want out of it, even though I have beaten it twice now.
I hate to say that I understand, but I do because I actually haven't completed it myself, but I've played the fuck out of it and I'm very far along.
Mm-hmm. But Octopath, man, that's going to happen soon.
There's so much in the game with the 8 character stories, you know.
Yep.
That's what you want, though. You want these RPGs to be so long that they seem endless. I mean,
definitely.
Money's worth tenfold.
Definitely, dude.
So Octopath, that could have been on my list. It was a hot contender, honestly. So many things could have been on here. But, you know, it's funny you bring up Triangle Strategy because it's my number 1 pick.
I had a feeling it might be.
Yep. Haven't completed it. Tyler's completed it twice. Kind of feel a little like the fandom's outshined. But then again, my enthusiasm for the game is comparable.
It just hit me so in what I want from this type of game that I just could not put it down. The combat system is so fun and so satisfying that like I just like once again like I could easily just go hop on that right now and be doing it the rest of the day, start a new game plus because that's where I'm at, and just be good with it because I still have to do a hard difficulty playthrough, and that is going to be very challenging because even just on normal difficulty, like there's a part in the mid game where NPCs really mess you up.
Oh, no shit.
On New Game Plus, yeah. I would say as I reached the end of the game and really started perfecting my team, I stopped having as much difficulty with battles, I'll say, in New Game Plus.
But mid-game was rough?
Mid-game was very rough. Early game was rough. It didn't really get easier until
you told me about the first battle, yeah.
The last few chapters, I would say. And even then, there's still fights that I failed once or twice that, you know, scattered throughout. So
you probably just leveled up, ranked up, caught up, and we're doing numbers, you know.
Most of my characters are at the max level now. They only go up to level 50.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah. But all the NPCs, every NPC on the battlefield is also level 50. So
I'll be getting there though. It ain't number 1 for nothing, bro. It's top of the backlog list. Well, literally.
I'm in the same energy. I didn't want to reveal it during your list, but my number 1 is actually Bravely Default 2.
No shit. Number 1 on your list, huh?
Number 1. I desperately want to play that game, but hearing you talk about Bravely 1, I actually really want to integrate that too. I know you said it doesn't necessarily matter if you've played the first one for the second one, but it kind of matters to me. Like
you've got that much of an enthusiasm for Bravely.
I just love these RPG games, man. After playing Triangle Strategy, and now that I'm not playing it, I still need something in that RPG space.
It's a beautiful thing. It's kind of like when I played Xenoblade Chronicles, the original. It was on the 3DS, the 3D version. That was ported to 3DS. So for me, when I played 2 on the Switch, it's kind of like that same jump from Bravely on 3DS to this new one on Switch, just because the graphics are so good. Yep. But it still maintains that art style we talked about, the hand-drawn environments with the 3D models all over that. Love it, dude. Fantastic. Yep. And if you had interest in it, I would actually say that's a great idea to play the first one, because the first one's fantastic.
I think I should.
A bit darker. The game can get on a bit of a darker side.
Not a problem for me.
Kind of like Octopath. I think it's cool whenever these RPGs get dark.
That's Square Enix, though, man. Everything has some very sinister element to it. It seems like.
Yeah, even Square Enix aside, man, with Monolith Soft with the Xenoblade Chronicles 2, man. I mean, 3, so dark. I'll talk more about that in gaming and pickups, but that's really cool that Bravely Default 2 is your number 1, and Triangle Strategy's mine. Yep.
So there you go.
There it is. But gaming and pickups, we usually do it between news and discussion. Today we're going to do it before the 3 shop. So how about you roll us into it, bro? What have you been playing? What have you picked up? Anything like that?
So I mentioned that my wife and I beat the post game of Kirby. That was pretty good. Been playing a lot of Steam Deck, been slaying a lot of spires. Started trying to actually work on achievements for that game. I don't have a good achievement sort of repertoire on my Steam. I've really neglected it over the years, even for a game like Slay the Spire where I've played it a ton.
Some difficult achievements on that game.
Say what?
Difficult achievements on that game.
There are some.
Overall.
Yeah, there are some for sure. Getting to Ascension level 20 is no joke.
There's a lot of very big dedication achievements on Slay the Spire. I've glanced over them a few times.
Yep. I got the one for killing that guy with 999 health that disappears in 5 turns. I got the one for killing him. That was probably the toughest one.
Oof.
But
Man.
anyway, that definitely a lot. But I did make a pickup on Steam based on your recommendation.
Oh, is this the game we talked about earlier? I said save it? Oh.
You recommended that I pick up Animal Sanctuary.
Monster Sanctuary.
Monster Sanctuary. Animal Sanctuary is a magic card. Monster Sanctuary on Steam, and I picked it up, installed it on the Steam Deck. Man, that is a fun game.
Oh, you played it some.
I played it for probably 2 or 3 hours. Yeah,
I knew it would be right up your alley.
I saw it on sale. It's only like, what, $4.99 usually?
I think it's like a $20,
really?
$25 game or something.
I got it for like $4, $3.
I got it pretty cheap too. I got it on a good sale, $6 or something like that.
Yeah, I felt like this was also right after I beat Triangle Strategy the second time.
Yeah,
I pretty much right after that I bought it because I was like, it sort of fills that time slot for me. Like I typically stay up later than my wife, so I like something that I can play at my own pace at night, like just like sleepily kind of play on the couch, like just late at night on my own. And I think Triangle Strategy was that, and now, Monster Sanctuary definitely has been part of that. I also have just been massively slaying the Spire, but
I understand.
Yeah, I really think that it's a cool game that I want to get into more. I think it has a lot of stuff that we like from Pokemon sort of style thing with tied into an RPG style kind of progression system. I mean, what more could you ask for?
And it's a platform. I mean, this is a combination
and it's a
we're not used to getting.
That's so sick. You can use your familiar, your beast your monster to clear paths for you and do stuff and fly. I think, and
you kind of make like a 3-party team that you could rotate on, just as you go. And they have the collector side of it and everything. I mean, it's a pretty all-in-one package, I'd say. Pretty nice game.
Yeah, really cool game. My other buddy actually mentioned to me a game called Griftlands that I want to check out. But he was like, it's a deck-building roguelike. And then he told me other things about the game that didn't matter. Because when you tell me deck-building roguelike game,
you're already
that's
listening.
all I need to hear.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to be on board. So
Inscription.
I went and looked at the screenshots for it, and it looks pretty sick, but it definitely reminisces Slay the Spire quite a bit. So I'll probably be picking that one up here shortly, and I'll report back on that maybe next episode.
Yeah, Inscription could have been on our backlog too easily.
Oh, I actually was considering that one for my list because I got to Chapter 2, went through that whole big brain situation that happened, and then I played a few games like in that mode, but I haven't gotten too far with it.
With the Pokemon TCG style.
Yeah, just the walk around.
Oh man, it's so awesome.
It is.
That's still where I'm at in the game too, though, is that section of it.
Yep.
But yeah, dude.
But there's apparently a whole nother third thing to do.
Yeah, I can't wait to see whatever is in this game.
Yeah.
Anything else for your gaming and pickups, brother?
I think that's it for me, man. Tell me about Xenoblade 3.
Well, I don't want to go too off the rails with it, honestly, but I did have this little thing where I was going to dedicate and at least do a chapter per podcast cycle. And so far I've lived up to that. I finished chapter 1 last night and got into chapter 2.
Nice.
It's a hell of a fucking ride, man. I mean, it's so dark.
How long is a chapter? Like, how many hours did it take you?
I have put in 7 or 8 hours, but
okay.
I run around the map, make sure I find everything, find all the containers, pick up all the items that are lying around. I'm so thorough, man. I fight everything basically, even trash off to the side that you don't need to encounter. I just do it just to grind, you know. So that's if you're being a 100% everything. Yeah, chapter 1 was 7 or 8 hours.
I'm thinking about triangle strategy where a chapter could be like 20 minutes
I
of
know,
dialogue,
right? Yeah.
or like an hour-long battle.
Oh no, you can assume these chapters are long as shit. That's how it was in Xenoblade 2. I think it's just a Xenoblade thing, but I don't want to get off the rails with it. I just thought chapter 1 mind blowing. I mean, usually these chapters are stories in themselves that almost could be standalone games, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And all I have to say is much darker. I'd like to do a full review of this game at some point, whether it be with you or just in some form. This is a game I really want to play through and review.
Do it.
Because there's so much to talk about. But it's so dark, so evil, and there's just some tie-ins with some other Xenoblade games that are hitting me, you know what I mean?
Maybe that could be your first solo episode.
Who knows, man? We'll have to see in the future. But I'm going to be continuing to play that. Vacation coming up. Big dedication to Xenoblade 2. The only thing I picked up since the podcast was actually the expansion pass for it. So I got the expansion pass. I'll be covering the waves as they go. We've only gotten the first wave, which is like an item set, basically. You get some cosmetic shit and some Nopon coins and shit, like, you know, just some supplementary items. I think they said the next thing coming in Wave 2 is like a new hero and some new challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool, a little extra side mode or something like that. And then Wave 3 and 4, we have no idea. All going to be released very spaced out. Cool to see how spaced out it is, though. You know, a few months at a time. So we're going to have content rolling out for Xenoblade 3 regularly. I like that. Because I'm happy with what they gave us with the base game.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, GTA 5, I actually did fire up a fresh playthrough. It was on the top 5 last time, but I got to tell you, I've had some issues on the deck with it since then.
Oh, really?
Yep. Nothing that stops progression. Anytime I've had an issue, I could boot out, get back in, and it's fine. But I found I had to lower some settings to stop it from...
What was it doing?
Well, at first, the big issue I hadn't gotten to the part where you pull the tennis coach's, or what you think is the tennis coach's house down, like his condo. Mm-hmm. The game was glitching to where it wasn't registering me pulling it. So I would start floating when I got to where it's supposed to be showing the cutscene of you pulling the house down. I just started floating and was attached to the string and just...
Oh, wow.
Just kind of like...
It was like a little instanced area.
Imagine like turning on flying in San Andreas, but you're tied down to the ground and can only go as far as the rope goes.
I see. Yeah, that sucks.
So I turned some settings down, went back, and then it worked. And I found a couple instances where I had to kind of boot out and boot back in.
I had a few issues the other day where my deck would just crash. Like it would just crash to a black screen, and I'd have to hard shut down and turn that thing back on to get anything to happen.
I haven't seen anything happen like that. I haven't been on my deck much since the last cast because I've been dedicating to Xenoblade 3.
Yeah, it's been strange.
I haven't seen that.
Ever since the last software update, I've had a few little things here and there, but I think I may have fixed it. I looked up kind of the issue online. Somebody said to boot it holding minus and the Steam button or the ... button. Mm-hmm. And get to the BIOS and just run through the BIOS and then boot. And I did that, and I haven't had any issues since then. So
I'm sorry you had an issue in the first place. Shit, that's weird.
Yeah, it was pretty frustrating because I would be playing something like Rocket League, and it would just crash to a black screen.
Oh shit! I haven't fired Rocket League up, so maybe that's something with Rocket League.
No, it happened with multiple different games.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But I did get to where you do the offshore heist. I think it's the second heist in the game where all three characters are all back together on GTA 5. I haven't gotten past it, though, because once I fired back into Xenoblade 3, that's it. Yeah. That's all that's happened. Do keep up with the bowling, though. We've had a couple sets come out, you know. Try to keep the items collected. I saw, actually, it's not on my list, it's on my girls' list. They have a disco ball volleyball. That's literally a disco ball. I think it'd be pretty cool if they had a bowling ball, man. Imagine how cool it'd be rolling a disco ball.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to mention, I fired up Street Fighter V on the deck. Looking pretty nice and playing pretty nice. I was just upset that they don't have any type of cloud save, so I don't get my progress from PC, I don't think.
Oh, that sucks.
So, and I found that some games do and some don't. So that's just how it is. Like with Ronin, it's not happening, bro.
I feel like a lot of older games that was the case, but I'm surprised to hear that about 5.
I could probably move some local files over because it's a computer, so I'm sure I can move some files over and have my saves.
Is it worth it?
I don't know, man. I kind of like some of these games not having a save file, so I can just, maybe play through the story modes again on Street Fighter V. Kind of like with GTA, just fire back in fresh. Mm-hmm. The only thing I wanted to bring up other than that is something I'm going to show you physically. And that's Quake Deluxe.
Ooh.
It came in.
Wow.
Check it,
That looks beautiful.
You have no idea, man. This is absolutely beautiful.
It's like the size of a PC game box, which I love.
Yes, and then when you take the sleeve off, it's just a pure Quake box. Like there's no Switch branding or anything on it.
Oh, wow. Nice.
But it's really nice, man. The steelbook's real nice. Everything about it. That's the
awesome,
little bonus stuff. Waited a long time for it. Now I'm just waiting for my Loop Hero. That's going to be a big pop off. I've never seen a special reserve game in person, so this will be cool to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for gaming and pickups, man. If you want to roll into 3 Shop,
let's do it. The
first entry being something you're very fond of, and that's Slay the Spire. Normally $24.99, $9.99.
Oh, wow. If you don't have it, just get it.
60% off until the 25th. So you've also got 9 days on this, 10 days on this sale. That's pretty good, man. I mean, $9.99, I think that's the cheapest I've seen it, at least on Switch.
I paid way more than that. I think I paid the full $24.99 for that bad boy.
Understandably so.
And I was happy to do so.
And you gifted me the Steam version.
Yep.
So that's we're equal with the Slay the Spire and Loop Hero.
Definitely.
I don't normally put games on the 3 Shop I haven't played, but I thought I'd put a hat in time. We haven't really talked about this game, but it's a 3D platformer that's been received very well, and I've got a lot of interest in playing on the Steam Deck, actually.
Okay.
I'd like to get it on Steam Deck and have access to achievements and play it,
Yeah.
But it's on sale on the Switch, $29.99 to $14.99, 50% off until the same date, 25th. Same date as Slay the Spire. Another one I wanted to mention, this is totally separate, but they came out with this little 3D platformer called Frog Gun that looks really cool on Switch and Steam and I guess all platforms. Kind of has a more retro look than Hat in Time, but still looks pretty legit. Looks like a PS1 game,
Nice.
Last on the 3 Shop, Moon.
I saw that this was on sale.
It's on sale for $13.29. That normally, that wouldn't sound like a crazy sale, but for this game, you usually only see $2 off or so. Mm-hmm. So normally $18.99. So you're getting it 30% off until the 23rd. Can't recommend the game enough. We're getting closer and closer to it being on sale for $10, and that's a definite. You should own it no matter what price for something
I have
like
it on
Moon.
Steam.
I think I gifted you that too, actually.
I think maybe. I thought I got it from a Humble Bundle, but maybe.
I think I gifted it to you.
Nice.
But that was a really good Humble Bundle if you did get it. And that's it for 3 Shop, and that's it for the episode, Tyler. I'm feeling pretty good about going into the Big 50. We're going to have some special shit planned.
Absolutely. Going to be really, really fun. Can't wait. We'll have more to talk about at that time, surely.
Maybe a few different things you might see as well as hear.
Yeah. Hopefully. We'll see.
But that'll
going to try some
wrap it
different
up for
things
this time.
technically, see how it goes.
Yeah, man. Always changing, always advancing, moving forward, man.
But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback, you can reach us directly at starroadpodcast@gmail.com. We also upload every episode to YouTube. Sterling has been absolutely doing the most in that category, so thank you, Sterling. Thank you to everyone who engaged with the Steam Deck review. That's definitely been a big increase in, what we typically see on these YouTube videos. So love to see that. And you can expect much more Steam Deck related content from us in the future, because those things are not going away anytime soon.
That's a new, kind of like we have the Square Enix thing and we have the all these deep-rooted little things. The Steam Deck is a new podcast staple. It's just something
Absolutely.
that's always going to be in the talks.
Yep. But other than that, I think that's going to bring us to the end, Sterling.
It certainly is, man. We're going to be planning the Big 50, talking about what we're doing, implementing a few things. I'm really looking forward to it, man. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. It's been a pleasure being here with you, Tyler. Everybody take it easy and look forward to the Big 50. Peace, everybody.
Peace.